Speaking of course, Bobby Jindal, I wrote a column posted on Bayoubuzz last week recommending that he resign, recommending that he now run full-time for president and allow Jay Darden to be a full-time governor. He didn't take me up on that, so he's still governor right now. And I think we're still going to see, of course, him treating us sort of as a hobby, as sort of his moonlighting position, as his focus remains the presidential race. Any news on whether he's getting any traction, you think? Do you think more people are maybe coming on board and supporting him? Do you see any future for that presidential race for the governor?
Well, I certainly think it's a good segue to the Hobby Lobby case. I think that Jindal, went in immediately after the decision, sent a press release with his opinion relative to that case, and I suspect he has been on some national talk radio shows or has been interviewed by some of the nationals subsequent. I know his name has been mentioned in a couple of articles I read. So, yeah, is he getting support? Yeah. I think that here in Louisiana, people, I think that, people just have, or like you, frustrated, and just really feel that, he has taken advantage of us. Now, let me play devil's advocate for a second, as I'm
Sure.
doing, and that is that, one could argue that he, as a politician, has every right to go and to further his own future, and he, as other politicians, will go and they will run while in office for while they're currently in office, that is true. There's no question about that. And the argument would be, well, why treat him differently? Why are we treating him different than we did, say, David Vitter when he ran, Mary Landrieu, and Cassie, etc., and a zillion other people who have run for office after winning a prior office, a different office at that.
Well, I mean, one difference is, of course, he did that from the day he was elected. Normally, people will decide to run for office toward maybe the end of their term or something, or if they're term limited, they'll run. I don't like it, Steve. I like people to fill their term, and then if they want to run for something down the road, fine. But finish their term. Don't run for an office while still serving. That's my own preference, and I agree with you. I think there's a host of politicians who do it. Jindal did it when he was congressman. He ran for governor while he was a sitting congressman. I mean, he's has a propensity of doing this. So I don't like it. I don't like it at all. But I think it's worse when you're running for president, which then sends you in far-flung states. You're all over the country, as opposed to two positions in Louisiana. At least you can theoretically say, hey, I'm still here at home. Addressing these issues as opposed to halfway across the country.
Yeah, I agree that it's a real sad situation when there's a state, such a sorry state such as Louisiana, that still is last in just about everything, and whose, as I mentioned before, whose economy, it has for the last 3 years been lower than the gross domestic product of the U.S., despite what the governor has said.
And that's a very weak national economy. I mean, the national economy has been poor.
That's a pitiful national economy.
So, I mean, if we're behind the national economy, that's pathetic.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah.
So, and here's, I think, that what really has really bothered me from the very beginning with regarding Jindal, and that is that his very first speech at the Capitol, moments after he was sworn in, and he said, and this is of course with Governor Foster, Governor Blanco, Governor Romer, I believe, on the dais with him, that the former governors, they were looking out for themselves. And I mean, you remember that, and I mean,
yeah.
it put a stone, I think, in, and certainly in my throat in terms of,
Right.
and trying to distinguish himself in terms of what he was going to do and how he would be different, and it turned out that, like you said, from the very beginning, the first opportunity that he had to get out there and try to get that national exposure,
Yeah, he did.
it became opium for him, I think.
Now,
And
and also as far as being different, really different, yes, but not in the right way. Lee Zurich pointed out in his Louisiana Purchase story that aired on Fox the other day, I mean, that Jindal has a propensity, really, of awarding seats, board positions to big donors, and even to a greater degree than we've seen in other administrations. So he has taken what was a bad practice and made it even worse.
Yeah.
And when Zurich tried to question him at a news conference, Jindal ignored the questions. He wouldn't respond to the request for interviews. So he's showing that same sort of disinterest in engaging the local media that he has from the very beginning. Now, you can get him on Fox News talking about Benghazi, but as far as talking about the economy here, the legislature, his shady fundraising practices, he won't do it.
Yeah, and that's probably, of all the things that that I think really is repugnant to the way that we were hoping that Governor Jindal, Bobby Jindal at the time, was going to change things, in every area of everything that he was so supposedly behind. He has violated, ethics reform, violated, and this is a blatant situation. And I got to tell you, I had to really applaud you and other Republicans and other conservatives who have come out and said, look, this is wrong. We cannot stand for this. I mean, I remember back in 2007 when the Republican Party was strongly behind ethics reform, and that was their number. That was, I think, that incompetency in government was their number one platform during the election, ethics reform, because Bobby Jindal emanated, personified ethics reform. But boy, were we, we were definitely disappointed because he carved out those exceptions for himself.
Right.
I mean, and like you said, I mean, from the Board of Regents, in terms of being able to giving seats to people who are heavy donors.
Well, some would say selling seats. I mean, that's how some would say it, pay to play. I mean,
well, but yeah, sure.
Politics is usual. I mean, there are all kind of ways you can put it. None of them good.
Yeah, and so the point I'm making is that I think that the Louisiana Republican Party in particular, owes us an apology because they came out there and made ethics reform a major deal.
All right, hang on, Steve.